I'm gonna polish now the crank, and I'm using a polishing paste what your grandma would use to polish her silver. Okay, we're not gonna say whose idea that was.
So here we go again, and I cannot believe we are doing that, but Christian plans on line borrowing the chunk short block we found in the trunk of Philip's Getaway Discovery 3.
Nice. Oh shit, what is that?
I think that's the engine.
It was supposed to be a runner.
I hope you enjoy the video.
This engine is not junk, okay? The engine which was sent to us from that dealer in Bavaria, that engine is junk.
Yeah, I cannot believe I made him order a used engine and the engine came and was completely junk.
Yeah, like unbelievable. And the guy goes, oh no, it's not junk, it's like really good. A couple of chips are normal. Well, yeah, not a pile in the oil pan. So I decided we use the engine we found in the trunk. It has only 2 wasted mains, and we're going to try to line bore this entire engine. And I'm in the middle of the process. Right now I'm setting up the boring bar, which is the most critical job. Before I did this, I had to machine this main, okay? I took some of the height off so the bearing moves further down, so I have still material left. And I still have to do that on this one. And then when the boring bar is completely straight and it scrapes nicely with the indicator on the upper bearing race, which is here the lower in this picture, then I know my boring bar is nice and parallel. I got it pushed out here, and it's really tough to move, okay? That means it has 0 play. Chances are good that when the cutter goes through and scrapes really nicely and we get the dimension right, that this block is just perfect again. And I did clean up all the cylinder bores with my honing brush because it was rusty. This engine was a bad luck engine because it had only a bearing failure because the crankshaft snapped.
Yes, you missed it.
We did like a top-notch analysis.
No, you missed it.
That's just a minor crack, okay? This does not cause any harm. It's still one piece. It only destroyed those 2 bearings because it snapped in half and then it didn't have any guidance anymore, okay? Very sad.
Yeah, so look at that. It's all...
It's 0, okay?
0.
That's basically the bottom.
So Christian is confident that we can save this mess.
Confident is the wrong word, okay?
So Christian learned how to file.
Good.
All set.
That's all it takes. So we got a nice pattern from machining. It's even.
Okay.
Very nice, okay? Okay, and these go in here.
Degrees.
Okay, that's good enough. So I got the boring bar now all set up over all 4 mains, as good as I get it. I think the overall concentricity I can get here from these 2 to this one and from these 2 to this one is about 0.02 millimeter, okay? That's very little inches.
I only know big and small.
The setup is in a way that I basically gauge the lower section of my bore, which I can't alter, to be 0, okay? So when my cutter starts to touch here 0, that's as far as I can go down. So what I'm basically doing, compared to a professional line borer, I'm gonna finish machine this by taking out chips. Versus a professional line borer, he's gonna leave a hundredths of a millimeter or whatever in there, I'm no expert, and then he runs his honing bar through here, which is a really expensive tool, and that gets the concentricity from bore to bore. We're gonna have to set up the motor now and start the line boring.
Okay.
After about 4 hours of setup, we are now ready to do our first cut.
Oh my God.
Okay. And you hear that it is an interrupted cut because we're not touching the bottom race. We're only touching the top race.
Look at that.
This is our magic grip. And on the first cut I have to go slow because it's heavy. It's like 0.2 of a millimeter. And I'm using my decades of experience to not screw this up, but probably don't work. What we need to do now is take the boring bar out so that we can take a measurement.
Yeah, that's an awful lot of work.
No, it's
We
not.
have to take it in and out
It's
many
not.
times.
So, see, I can take that out now. There it is. See, there's the cutter. And we can adjust this cutter now to any depth we want. So next morning, I got to redo basically the first machining cut I did yesterday. It did not work. I had to basically recess the first main a little bit more, and I have to start over. I changed the procedure how I dialed in the boring bar. I hope it's going to work better now. And I also told Vera to stay upstairs until at least one cut is successful. This way we don't get into an argument right away in the morning and then the entire day is ruined. Oh man, we're close. The cut is now finished and we did not get a complete contact pattern. I know this looks now rough because the bearing basically chewed this surface up and we do not have the luxury to clean this up totally or we will have a concentricity error. But the top side is absolutely clean and that's where all the load goes from the pistons pushing down on the connecting rod. And the other thing we got now is here, when you look at my indicator, I hit 0. Look at that. Okay. And also, my hole, also, it's a round hole. Okay. Here we got 0 to 5 micron plus, depending on if I measure on a high spot or in a valley. So this is really good. The first bore is done. It's round. And we are between 0 and 5 micron oversize. And the latest specification for the 2.7 liter is 75 to 75.02 as a bore diameter. And the main bearing bore ovality is given with 7 micron. And we're also below that. I think the concentricity error is just going to put a little bit more stress on the crankshaft, which makes it snap earlier. But that's just the Land Rover thing.
Now let me clear up about the name of the blue stuff. Persian blue, Prussian blue, whatever I get in the comments. It's gonna call it whatever we use. And we use the Aldi permanent marker.
So now let's do the second bore. That bore took now about 4 hours to do. Because we have now everything set up, I expect this one to be done in half an hour before lunch.
See, that's how we do it.
And I call it Persian blue. And you guys remember, whatever we call it is what it's called, okay? You look it up in the dictionary, it says that's what Ella Time calls it, okay?
And it's called Aldi blue from now on.
Yes. The only guy who can call this differently is Chuck Norris. But if it's about Land Rovers, he calls us up and asks us, what are you guys calling it? I told you that before.
Oh guys, we watched Working Man yesterday. It's a Jason Statham movie and there was a Discovery 4 bad guy scene. So check out that movie. It was awesome. Stuck.
Stop the motor.
Second try. Okay. So second round. Okay.
So we got contact at the bottom now. This is good. And it's starting to clean it up.
So you can clearly see where we already had contact and where not.
And I go on a clear spot now where we already had contact. And here we can see we got still 0.04 material to take off, which is a lot. And here we got 0.03253, okay? So right now the bore is not 100% round.
So let's see if Christian does a good job.
It would be a 11 what we want to see here.
Yeah, it's coming. 5, 7, 9. Oh my God. Only 2 more. 10, 11. Stop it.
Okay, let's engage it onto our high-tech drill unit.
Yes.
Okay, which we found in the trash. Lubrication for the bearings. Bring it into position. There we go.
Oh yeah, I took a little bit more off.
Yeah, but it's not nice yet. But if the hole is round, it's good.
Round is round. Oh my God. I hope you don't ruin it now.
No, this will come out really nice. The cutter is basically leaving a certain roughness, and that roughness is for sure 5 micron, and we took this out now.
Okay. So the high spot, you know. You have to look at the high spot.
This is around the oil hole. Look at that.
Yeah.
We're definitely in tolerance. This is better than the repeatability of my gauge here. Yeah, good. I'm happy with this. And the roundness is also there. We'll do a plastic gauge test, but we have to use a 3-liter crank. We don't have a 2.7 liter here.
Yes, we do. Over there, that's Fabian's old.
That one is bent. So I completed a plastic gauge test using a 3-liter crank because the 2.7 liter is not delivered. And this front here is too tight. This one is good, this one is good, and this one, which is an OEM not touched, is also borderline too tight. I don't like it. So I'm gonna have to wait for the final crank and hope it's gonna turn out a little better. If not, I'm gonna have to manipulate here the front by hand a little bit to widen this. So we're gonna check the run out of our crankshaft from eBay. That's a used one and it's made in '05, so it's very old. And remember guys, this is a micron indicator, okay? That's very little inches. We reset here. Yeah, no more negative. 25 is the spec. Oh, come on. Good. So this bearing plane is good. Now we're gonna move over here. See if we can get that also done. Bit with WD-40. Let's see what this side has. 25 is the spec. Ooh. Ooh. For a 20-year-old crank, I call this good, okay? Because I have no other choice and Vera isn't around. I'm gonna polish now the crank and I'm using a polishing paste what your grandma would use to polish her silver, okay? I'm pretty sure if I turn the lathe on, I see the desktop safety inspector starting to type. I'm off. Okay, this is a really good pull on it. I feel all the power of my lathe, which is nothing. This is basically a cotton rope, okay? I can almost see myself in it and there are definitely no scratches visible on my 20-year-old crankshaft, which I bought at eBay for 600 euros. We're gonna do that on all 4. And I'm gonna do the rest off camera, but they turn out really nice. The conrod ends I gotta do by hand. I'm gonna do here a plastic gauge test and you guys have seen me do that a million times already, so I'm just gonna show you the result, okay? And second stage 80 Newton meters. Okay. And third stage is 90 degrees, and you use your son to do that. And just when your son thinks he's done, you have him opening them up again. Nice. So I got the result now here, and I can tell you on the first few, without even gauging it, it's too tight, okay? See, I'm even tighter than 0.025, and I want to be between 0.038 and 0.05, so I want to be somewhere here and here. And it's on all very consistent, okay? So unfortunately, this test failed. The gap is too small. I'm gonna have to hone open the bores and manufacture a tool for that. That's the only way to move forward if I want to stay with King engine bearings. So here in the King engine bearing catalog, you can see the 75.01 to 75.03. That's their tolerance for the housing, okay? And here's the specification from Ford. The main bearing housing diameter from them was 75.0 to 75.02. So we got a little bit of a conflict there, and if everything is on the tighter end, I'm missing 100ths of a millimeter, and that will cause problems. So this is a pretty big part for my lathe, okay? This is 80 millimeter in diameter, and I'm trying to make me a honing tool for the cylinder block. This diameter is a little bit smaller than 75, so I can wrap the emery cloth around it. And this one is 75.00, okay, as good as I could get it. And I'm gonna use that to guide this section, and then I'm just gonna rotate the thing, and magically everything is gonna work.
Oh, look at the mess we have here. And it doesn't get any better because Christian is adding to that mess. Look at that.
Building stupid stuff for a stupid engine in the morning, okay?
Oh my God, what is that?
Even the Romans used stuff like this to get bores to the exact size. So I'm almost finished, but until then, I do not need any interruptions.
I'm gonna empty our travel toolbox in the meantime. Because we went to the Western Alps, and I don't know if you already saw the video with my Discovery 3 over there.
So like I said, the Romans already used tools like this to make precision holes in their wooden war machines. So I just duplicated what they did, and now I got maximum control to basically lap this bore to the final size. I need to increase it basically to 74.03. So I got now a 320 sandpaper here on my lapping arbor, which I made. This diameter here is perfectly matched to these diameters, so I have good guidance. You can see how the sandpaper is grabbing here with the 320 grit. And here you can hopefully see how it cleans up that bore in the backside nicely. So now I can take a measurement here and a measurement here and see if I gained anything.
I bet you have never seen something like that.
That's just Vera's way to tell you that she's seen never something like that.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna try a little bit of oil on the sandpaper now, because in the back, on this side, I'm already at the finished diameter, so I don't want the sandpaper to grab there.
It looks like something I could do, Christian.
No. This is something where you gotta have a feel for the hole, okay? This is really critical. It's really precise. Turn it once and tell me how that feels. You feel the precision?
Yeah.
That's not really convincing, yes? You feel exactly how it takes about 0.0000 little inches off with every turn. So we are at 0.2 still here. See, over here I'm already at 0.3. So I have to be really careful. 0.25. This is because there is still some surface roughness in here.
Okay. He got it from work 30 years ago.
But that's the difference between a hoarder and a collector, okay? A collector knows what he's got. Okay, I put some more oil here in the bag.
Yes, because I'm not qualified to do that.
I don't want this to become conical either. I'm gonna put this now in here and see if I made any progress. Okay, that's the first one.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not quite 0.05, which is the upper spec, and it's definitely above 0.038. See how it's narrower? And this means it's about 0.040. And that matches now my Excel calculation, which I did scientifically, okay? So we got to do that on all of them, and we're ready to put this baby back together. The teardrop is increasing on this side of the block, okay? This is because my lapping arbor went in from this side. Lapping, I think, is a German word, but it's the right word, okay? It describes this process like back when the Romans did this. So my lapping arbor went in from this side, and that's why it's increasing in size over here. So it is conical, we can say that, and we don't want it to be conical.
So we are not done.
We probably can't do anything about it. Right now, after lapping the first bore, we are at 0.04. This is already not bad. I'm not sure if I'm gonna touch it one more time. So I decoded my crankshaft like I showed you guys many times how this is done based on the letter code on the crankshaft. I got a GIJJ, so the first bearing race is a G, the second one an I, and there is a big post in our Patreon channel where you can see how this is done. Then that decodes you the main diameter of the crankshaft. In my case, if I take the G, for example, I have 69.976. If I calculate now the running clearance with the hole I bored and the crankshaft diameter I inserted and the bearing liner I inserted from King. The King have 2.505, not like the OEM bearings, okay? Their liner size is thinner because they select them based on a grade. So King kind of delivers the biggest ones you can get. And if I add this all together, I do get only a running clearance of 0.024. But I want to be in the range of 0.040. So I have to bore my hole open to 75.026. And this is about where I honed it with my genius honing tools, which I copied from the Romans. If we compare those shells with the different grades of shells, what the OEM bearings look like, we can see that only the blue bearings have the 2.505. So basically King matches the biggest bearing shells you could get OEM for this block, which gets your gap really close. Now, if you look at your crankshaft size, which in our case, it's like a G over here. And if we go over here and we want to use a blue bearing here in the range of 0.04 right here, we can see we have to open up our block to 75.014 to make that bearing shell work. They do allow an ovality of 7 micron. So maybe they allow also a wedge shape of 5 micron. I could not find a clear datum for that.
All that matters is the torque to rotate later on. So today we have tune 6 and we are still
on the wrong girl.
On the wrong girl.
She's very busy with her wheel barrel, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
She looks great.
And in this episode, I'm gonna attempt to hand hone the main gallery of our engine block here because our plastic gauge test showed a too small of a running gap. And we're gonna do that with a hand honing tool, which I built from scratch, just like the Romans did to build their wooden constructions.
Oh my God. I hope you enjoy the video.
So now we're going to work on the second main. You can see the second main is also way out of spec. Our gap is smaller than 0.025. Here you can see we line bored basically this main, and the surface roughness here is really not bad. It's nice and smooth, but we hope to improve this further with our Roman honing technique. Listen to that one. Oh boy. That's the same one Waldo uses.
Old man strength.
So I got this adjusted here. See how I'm kissing 0 here? Now I go with this setup over here. We're basically kissing 0. 75.005. So we did an excellent job boring this one to be within specification, but the King bearing liners are just simply too thick. This is where we at. Right here. A gap of 0.018. That's quite narrow. We can clearly see our plastic gauge test made it narrower. We're definitely plausible. That's the main goal. Engine oil on here. See, it fits absolutely perfectly in here. And it has now quite some bite. And I turn it like this. You can see how precisely it's grasping this bearing here with my precision-made arbor on my home lathe. And you can see I'm already here deep enough in, so the sandpaper carries over the full distance.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna pull it out for the first time. My sandpaper is first of all evenly grasping, and there is also debris on it. That's nice. And you can see how the front is nicely cleaning up already. I measure right here in the front. This was 75.005 before, and now we are at 75.015. So this is getting really close, and that's where we want it. We're gonna go now over to the other side. On this bearing, we have that comfort, being able to do this. I'm gonna wipe my sandpaper clean here. Okay. I'm spinning this counterclockwise because this is a British engine block and they drive on the other side of the road. If I spin this clockwise, it won't work. If I insert my honing arbor now from this side, I can't get it in the first go round quite through, okay? And I always gotta make sure this looks really difficult and important, okay? But a German has no problem doing that. And we'll pull it out. Okay. This is looking really nice by now, okay? This side is still too tight. So we're gonna have to use a little bit of oil and run a little bit of fresh sandpaper through.
That's what I wanted to say.
This is about the point where it's now boring for Vera because there's nothing happening and it needs to happen several more times.
Okay, he's back to the other side again. Look at the mess he already made this morning.
Look at that. This is a big improvement. We're hitting the 0.02. Yeah, this is good.
Well, the plastic gauge test will reveal if it's good or not.
I think this is really good. Okay, if you turn it backwards once, it's done. Good. I think this is good now. We'll leave it like this.
Yes, I think so too.
I had her turning it in case it's screwed up now. It's her fault too. Okay. This did improve a lot. You can still see some grooves. These are left over from our line boring we did here. This side really improved a lot, okay? Mm-hmm. This goes in. I always put the writing on the same edge. And we got 2 races installed. Yeah. Now I gotta clean up the old plastic gauge. Here's a nice and fresh piece of plastic gauge. And another 45.
Oh. Well.
And here it matches 0.038. The other one was a little nicer. You can see how it's squished on this side more flat. And on this side it's already almost good. So we got to hone in from this side. Mm-hmm. This one is almost good. And it's certainly now within tolerance already.
Oh, it's within spec?
It's within spec. The spec is 0.03. So this side. And we want to go a bit. So I would say I'm gonna go 25 strokes.
Okay.
So, old man strength is something you don't have, right?
I don't have old man strength.
I did now 3 bearings and she was complaining, well, this is not that hard. Don't make it look that hard. I said, why don't you do the 4th one? And here we go. She doesn't even have the arbor in yet, okay? It's like barely sticking out on this side. And she's already running out of power.
Oh, that is... It's so hard.
What?
Oh my God, and you do it like there's nothing. What would I do without you? So he cleaned it again, and yes, please, more oil.
I cleaned the arbor with brake cleaner again.
Yes.
So we're gluing a new layer of sandpaper on because we still got about 0.01 to go.
Yes, with super glue.
Yeah. Let's see if it did something.
Shit.
This one is still a little under. That puts us around 0.043.
Okay, so let's do a plastic gauge test.
Yeah.
it's torqued to spec off camera, and now we have to release everything. Christian is still out of breath.
So unfortunately, this is very disappointing. We had good readings when we measured individually, but when we measure with everything together here all at once, they are absolute borderline, and one of them is out of spec. So still no assembling of this engine. I think we're still going to show this video about all the effort we have to put in to get one of these running, and then people watch the last episode and think, oh, that's a piece of cake to get one of these together and get them running. No, it's not, unless you have a complete engine overhauling machine shop like QP Online in the UK. This is a real battle for every individual engine we built. And on this one, this is now probably the third or the fourth day where we are just on the main bearings and we can't get them right. We're definitely not going to go with OEM bearings because we have to order them in the US, and there are 4 different grades for up and down and top and thrust bearings and so on. By the time we have them here, they're like $400. So we may have to open this one up further. All the numbers we have now are lower than the ones we had before, okay? Even though we opened up the bores. But we've tested these two individually, and these two only with the complete crankshaft. So right now we're missing that information. We're going to redo this test individually and see if our bore is correct. If our bore is correct, but it's not okay with the crankshaft installed, then we got a misalignment problem which is causing these lower gaps on the top bearing surface. It could also be caused by the runout in the crankshaft sitting here in a disadvantaged position, if you can follow me. So we quickly gonna do an individual plastic gauge test here and here.
So let's see what the plastic gauge test tells us.
Yeah. See, I got the bearing shells removed here, and the crank is only sitting here and here. And now let's see what that plastic gauge test now looks like. A little better, but it's not quite in spec. Okay, we're not gonna say whose idea that was. So 2 people can dig a hole twice as fast as 1 person. Okay. Oh, careful.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we almost blew it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. We got the 12 we wanted.
Teamwork. So we repeat the plastic gauge test again.
Yes, that's better.
That's good.
It's exactly 0.038.
So it's in spec.
It's in spec, but you know, it would be nicer if it's 0.042 or something.
So we'll do it again, Christian.
This one is also not perfect yet. And
So that's the third one.
we're gonna do that one also.
I don't even want to film anymore.
No. That is not horrible. And we're definitely larger than 0.038. So this one is okay. But what we learned now is that when we do this bearing individually, the oil gap is larger. When we do it in combination with all 4, the oil gap is smaller, which means the bow of our crankshaft, it has a runout of 0.018. We measured that here. Or the misalignment of our main bearing gallery is causing this, okay? So depending on how the alignment is, we can sweet talk this now. But Vera already found a good name for this engine block when we're done with it, okay?
That's Frankenstein, yeah.
Only Philip is gonna drive it. And if it breaks down in Spain, in Barcelona, in the winter time when he is at his event down there, it's gonna stay down there. So all our friends in Spain can already be happy. Maybe they inherit a dead Discovery in Spain. So this is number 3 now, and this is number 1. Now I gotta clean up this engine block. I gotta remove this oil plug here, clean out the gallery, get all the chips from line boring out. Then I gotta clean up all the sealing surfaces and then be ready for assembly. But I think that's not gonna be part of this video.
Yes, and that is why you don't do a bearing swap from engine installed after you had chips in your system, because you got to clean up that block. You cannot just swap the bearings and have it run again.
We're done plastic gauging this engine block.
Yeah, it's Saturday evening now.
Yes.
I'm done anyway.
And I'm gonna clean this up, and Frankenstein is gonna go back together, and Philip's gonna drive it as long as it lasts. Now that's it for our episode this week. We got the crankshaft installed, we got all bearings in, and hopefully Frankenstein is going to live at one point. Now I have to do our outtake here alone today because Vera is with Philip at a BMX event in Brussels in Belgium. He did qualify yesterday for the half finals. Today, Saturday, they're gonna run the half finals. If he succeeds there, they're gonna stay also on Sunday for the finals, but that's gonna be really tough. He's competing there with the best out of the US, UK and Australia. I wish them really good luck. Hopefully Philip is gonna make it to the finals, but even if not, in his age he already had a great success getting into the half finals. We had a lot of comments lately about the progress and the timing in our videos, and I do realize a lot that many people think we're gonna do some work on a Saturday and then publish the video on Sunday. But this is not how our YouTube channel works, okay? Because sometimes we're on vacation, sometimes Vera is gone, and sometimes we are sick and we can't work. So we pretty much have a backlog of work and videos, which is right now about 6 weeks. So the episode you watch today is between 4 and 6 weeks old. That's how long it actually took to do this amount of work. And if we wouldn't have this kind of a lead in between, we would really be in trouble and not have a long video with all these details for you on a Sunday. So on the other hand, I'm really happy that you guys think we're doing that on a Saturday and publish it on Sunday, because that means the way we cut the videos, it does look to you that it's all done in one clean sweep. But trust me, it is not.
Oh my God.
For example, our Frankenstein build right now is pretty far ahead because, like I said, we're 6 weeks ahead of you. And here you can see right now, I of course went completely overboard and I did a restoration far more detailed than I wanted. Okay, this is pretty much on the same level as we did our LR3 like 2 years ago. Also, I got the engine, of course, assembled already and it's ready to go. And here you can see there are now plenty of parts from the chassis which I gotta clean up. Sometimes in an episode you see footage which might be as old as 6 or 8 weeks, and you can see that sometimes on how we are dressed and how my haircut is, and also how I'm losing and gaining weight. Okay, that's not the case with Vera, so don't say anything wrong in the comments. But it is for sure nice if you guys think that this is all done in one clean sweep and we do a little bit of wrenching on a Saturday and then publish the video Sunday morning. But it's everything else but that. Typically a video with 40 minutes consists of 6 hours of footage, which we film over the course of multiple days. That results in about 400 to 500 takes. And those takes are gonna cut down to a video which makes it about between 600 and 800 scenes. The scenes, as you see when you pay attention, are only like a second long, and maybe longer ones are 15 seconds long, okay? The effort to cut a video is about 8 to 12 hours for me because I do have a really smooth process going and I'm really effective in doing that, and all the help I'm getting from Vera. 8 to 12 hours for your Sunday video. On a Sunday morning, we need an additional 2 to 3 hours to set up the video so you can watch it at 9:15. So we pretty much start there at 6:15 because otherwise we're not gonna get done. And sometimes you realize it takes up until 11 o'clock till we're done. But the goal is always 9:15. On a Sunday morning, we pretty much have to upload the final episode to YouTube because we converted it overnight from Saturday evening to Sunday. Once the video is uploaded, we got to do the video description, we got to do the title of the video, we got to compile a thumbnail and a thumbnail title. Those 3 things are by far the most important. We can have an excellent video and the video is gonna suck in the clicks because our thumbnail or title is not good. We also got to set up the number of commercials we're gonna post. We can influence that a little bit, but most of the commercials are basically decided up on YouTube, okay? But we can control the amount of commercials to a certain extent. We can't eliminate them completely, but we can also make sure we're not posting more than 5, for example, in a video with 40 minutes. And while all that is done, we launched the video at 9:15. So the entire process probably takes every week between 12 and 15 hours for us to provide that video on Sunday morning at 9:15, and that does not include the actual work. And sometimes we take vacation, as you saw, and then we also provide a video from our vacation, also for the reason that we don't run out of footage. So I thought I'm gonna sum this up here in this episode. I gotta do that once in a while to keep everybody on the same page, because we have new viewers and they're not used to the progress in our videos. Again, thank you very much for watching this episode this week. I hope you liked it. And at this point, I want to thank our Patreons a lot for their support. And
we'll see you next Sunday.